Competitors at the International Tournament of Champions spent hours of time and gallons of fuel practicing to win the biggest cash prize in aeromodeling. But the person who placed first wasn't the only one who benefited from this event. It can be said that everyone connected to the radio control hobby won something because of the Tournament of Champions. What did you win? Let's find out. Writing about the 2002 Tournament of Champions in model aviation, Mike Hurley explained, "To put it bluntly, in all likelihood, the equipment that you use today in any category of RC might not be as reliable, capable, precise, or might not even exist without the enormous influence and importance of the TOC contest." Now, how did that happen? What is the International Tournament of Champions anyway? The International Tournament of Champions, most commonly shortened to TOC, was an invitation-only radio control event that focused on challenging pilots to provide the best spectator experience possible. It was one of the only model aviation events to have cash prizes, and certainly the only one to have huge cash prizes, not just for the top 3 winners, but for all competitors. First held in 1974, the TOC was the brainchild of model airplane news editor Walt Schroeder and Bill Bennett, owner of Circus Hotels and Casinos. The two of them wanted to create the premier event in radio control modeling in order to bring the hobby up to the respect and prominence they thought it deserved. To do this, Bill purchased land and, with the help of the Las Vegas Radio Controllers Club, developed the site as a flying field with an eye towards avoiding every detail modelers hate, and by all accounts, they succeeded. Then Walt and Bill invited the top 32 pilots from around the world and designed a contest to wow. And wow it did! From the facilities provided to both pilots and spectators at the field, to the awards banquet held at the hotel, to the flying skills of the pilots, wow seems to be the only word people had. In 1974, the contest followed the new FAI pattern schedule, but they made a few tweaks for a better spectator experience, including what they called Olympic-style judging, where the judges held up cards of 1 to 10 to grade each flight. The contest in 1975 made a few changes. In 1976, however, new maneuvers not already previously described in the typical F3A pattern rulebook were entered into the contest, causing pilots to practice even more to master them, and there was some discussion about the possibility of specially designed aircraft. 1977 brought another change. Instead of just a pattern contest, the TOC now included a scale contest. These were separate events under the TOC banner, taking place over the span of 2 weeks, with separate prize purses and separate winners. This went over so well, and apparently so did even newer maneuvers the pattern pilots had to fly, that another change was coming. In 1978, the scale contest was dropped in favor of requiring that all aircraft entered into the pattern contest be standoff scale of a full-size aerobatic aircraft. Not only that, but these aircraft were going to be required to fly maneuvers as described in the Aresti book that full-size aerobatic planes used, and fly inside a designated aerobatic box imagined in the sky. The plan was to mimic, as close as possible, a full-size contest. It worked, and it worked well. Art Schroeder, writing for Model Airplane News, said, "How does one report an epic which without the superlatives it deserves if the superlatives, and it must be all, are used? Then the reader hesitates to accept it, just puts it down to a wordy, easily excited reporter." If that doesn't say the contest was beyond words, what does? Austrian Hanno Pretner had won the 4 previous contests. He won again in 1978, flying a 20-pound Dalatel sporting a 2,700 square inch wing. It was bigger than any other ship in the contest, and the biggest model airplane that most had ever seen. It was decided that the TOC would be held every other year, offset with the World Championships due to the amount of preparation that needed to go into flying the event. Thus, the next TOC was held in 1980. At that TOC and the next in 1982, the rules were again tweaked in order to mimic a full-size aerobatic contest even more. The airplanes had also gotten bigger. The pilots not able to attend TOC wanted in, and they found an in with the growing International Miniature Aerobatic Club, which had been pioneering many ideas incorporated into the TOC. In 1984, pilots were offered a 10% bonus if they flew a biplane. 1984 was also the first time that perennial tournament champion Hanno Pretner was not able to compete. American Steve Rojecki, flying a 6-foot Reed Falcon biplane, won due to his outstanding flying abilities, including the ability to do what is considered to be the very first knife-edge loop flown in competition. Steve's stunt and many more were repeated at the following TOCs, as the emphasis on bigger airplanes, more thrilling maneuvers, freestyle flying to music over the loudspeakers, and more serious effort at copying full-size events continued. The rules were still continuously tweaked for each contest, attempting to find the most challenging format that offered the most spectator appeal. As the airplanes grew in size, specialized radio equipment and engines were developed to work with them. As this equipment was manufactured, lessons learned made other engines and other radio and control equipment even better and cheaper. Argentinian Quique Somenzini's freestyle flight in 1994 warranted a great deal of description in the magazine coverage. Writing for Model Airplane News, Norm Staub described the scene. Quique made his Extra 300S hover, and he slowly moved it up and down while holding it in a horizontal position. Let me clarify this. The ship was not moving forward to create lift, yet it rose and fell as if suspended from a rope at the nose and tail. Mind-boggling! At the end of the flight, the judges raised their brows in disbelief and joined the audience with applause. 2 years later, Quique's flight was still fresh in many minds. Mike McConville, also writing for Model Airplane News, stated, "At the 1994 TOC, Quique Somenzini amazed the world with the introduction of maneuvers that seemed to defy aerodynamics. They seemed to be magic, as the airplane was doing things such as flat, elevator-like vertical descents and end-over-end flips, or waterfalls, and many hovering maneuvers that didn't seem possible. We were seeing the birth of 3D aerobatics." At the 1996 event, other pilots debuted their own 3D aerobatic maneuvers. Eventually, the TOC, which had switched sponsors from the Circus Circus Hotel to the Sahara Hotel and Casino, but kept its patron of Bill Bennett, was seen to almost surpass full-scale aerobatic competition. After all, what full-scale plane with a person on board could hang from its prop just inches off the ground? As 3D aerobatics grew in popularity amongst all model pilots, and they together pushed the bounds of aerodynamics, more engineering had to go into model designs. Models now had to be big and light and yet strong enough to survive an untold number of those end-over-end flips. And again, as modeling companies engineered new models and used new materials, all modelers then had access to those ideas and components. The last International Tournament of Champions was held in 2002. During its 28-year history, only a few modelers won big money in TOC. Yet the next time you head out to your local flying field to do a few torque rolls with your electric-powered scale almost ready to fly, consider yourself a winner. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Flyby, presented by the National Model Aviation Museum. Please like, share, and subscribe for more model aviation news and history. Do you have an idea for a flyby? Please comment down below and you might see your idea become our next flyby. We'll see you next time.